KMR. We have some brap right here. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. We really appreciate it. Can't believe we've got over 13,000 followers. And it definitely inspires me to do more videos and increase the quality. So I thank everybody who's been joining and watching the videos, enjoying them. So what we have right here, a little KMR history. So I worked at Mazda-Trix for about 18 years, still work really closely with Mazda-Trix, and this was one of the motors I built about 10 years ago. This particular 13B ran in Formula Drift for a couple seasons. We ran it as a half bridge, and we ran it as a half bridge semi-peripheral port. Both motors worked fantastic. It really was a test bed for a lot of the porting templates and port work that we now do as standard. So if you call us up, KMR, and you're looking for port work, you're looking for semi-peripheral porting, anything like that, this was one of the motors that about 10 years ago was help paving the way for what is standard today. If we take a quick little look, you can actually see in there. It's hard to see. Focus. You got that little bridge port in there, that half bridge. And it's a half bridge because it's only on the secondaries. We didn't do the primary. And the goal was to help retain mid-range and bottom end. This motor was fun to drive. It had some great horsepower numbers. At the time, we were limited a little bit on fuel deliveries. So I think we could have made more power. And it was a motor that was not fully studded. It was a third studded. So it was also a motor that we were using to develop the strength of our stud work and understand how many studs were needed for what boost level and what horsepower level. So it was great to be developing and testing stuff like this 10 plus years ago. I think this motor actually ran roughly in 2010, give or take a year. So horsepower wise, it was pretty solid. I've got a dyno chart around here somewhere. I got to find it. It's up in Mazda-Trix. And with the half bridge, we were running well into the 600, close to 700 horsepower range. I think we ended at about 680 horsepower with the OEM intake manifolding, throttle body, ethanol, and half bridge KMR style port. It could have made more, but I think we were trying to be conservative and get an understanding for block strength. It was a test motor. The following season, we added the semi-peripherals, and that got us, I think it was 820, 829 horsepower. And I don't think we were pushing more than about low 20s on the boost, 22 PSI, 24 PSI. So the motor could have easily been a 1,000 horsepower motor with a different turbo, full studding, and, ramp the boost up. These types of blocks nowadays can handle 30, 40 pounds of boost, depending on your stud work. And at the time, I think we were concerned as, the standard was the teens of boost, and we were pushing into the 20s. So really cool to get this motor back. It had been on display in Mazda-Trix for quite some time, and they have some other stuff they're displaying right now. I'm sure it'll go back in there at some point. But in the meantime, I wanted to do a little bit of a discussion about it, talk a little bit about the porting, a little bit of KMR history. The fact that I did work at Mazda-Trix, was their engine builder for quite some time, and had a wonderful time helping with their production race programs, their time attack programs, and that's really what paved the way for my drift programs and a lot of what I do now as standard in the engines I build, whether they're built for Mazda-Trix, KMR, or any of the racers out there that I might help out. So pretty cool stuff. If I remember correctly, this was also a motor that we were testing the higher compression rotors. I don't remember if it was Series 4 or Series 5. But we were at that point running high comp rotors. They were not lightened, but they were side clearanced. And we were developing the technique of side clearancing roughly 10, 12 years ago as well. As kind of a further process. It was already being done, but we were needing to push the limits because as we crossed the 500 horsepower mark, 600 horsepower mark, we started to get more and more interference. Different tolerances needed to be used. Different points of the block needed to be strengthened. And that's a lot of how we got to where we are today, continuing a lot of these service techniques into the 3 rotors and 4 rotors we build. So If you have any questions, let us know. FD3S based, and could have easily been, by today's standards, a 1,000 horsepower 13B. I think that's a wrap. Thanks for watching, KMR.